Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Buffett, that venerated regent of Rome, potentate of Piña Coladas, sage of slackers, and beatified beach bum, has taken the big boat to the far horizon this week. He will be missed by people the world over. He invited us to look at the taskmasters of life, both imposed and self-imposed, and say, whatever, I'm going to plant myself firmly in this sand, death grip my cocktail, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. So tonight we celebrate Jimmy Buffett. And we celebrate him with none other than the Piña Colada. If Jimmy Buffett is a religion, then Piña Coladas and cheeseburgers are his holy Eucharist. So tonight, we take communion. To the altar. Bar. The bar. Tonight's recipe is straightforward and simple, and while many a recipe will claim that the only way to make a piña colada is with light rum, I'm here to say it doesn't matter. You can make this drink with light rum, gold rum, dark rum, aged rum, blended rum, demerara rum, rum agricole, sipping rum, mixing rum, bad rum, good rum, or even mediocre rum. Looking at you, Bacardi. This drink will taste good no matter what. That said, the type of rum you choose changes the flavor profile of the drink significantly. Many recipes will call for light rum simply so that you can taste all the flavors of the mixers uninhibited, with the rum as an afterthought. Some of us, on the other hand, we like our rum free to express itself. Drop those rum inhibitions and take a walk on the full flavor side of life. That's right. Today we're making piña coladas with Husser's rum, my favorite. Feel free, good people of Husser's, to sponsor a video. The history of the piña colada is as murky as the drink itself. But my favorite story is that of a pirate of the Caribbean, no less, named Roberto Cafrizi y Ramirez de Aviano. He made this drink to keep his lollygagging crew from becoming mutinous scallywags, skulking about the peeways, waiting to strike. It's hard to be mutinous when you've got a piña colada in hand. This story is probably not true, but it is more exciting than, say, whipping it up in a hotel without the rum so it can be enjoyed as a family-friendly drink. Boo! Piña colada is a very simple recipe. It only requires 3 ingredients, sometimes 4, but we'll moor that boat when it gets to the pier. You will need a rum of your choosing. Husser's rum! I choose you! Cream of coconut. I'm using Real. Is it Real? There's an apostrophe there, so I think it's Real instead of real. Whatever. And pineapple juice. You can make this drink blended or shaken, and it will taste equally wonderful. I'm going with shaken because I simply just do not have a blender at my disposal right now. As usual, the recipe for this cold cup of liquid lightheartedness is down in the description. Oh, and while you're down there, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that red bell to stay informed and in the loop on when new videos come out. For God's sake, man, I'll never get anywhere without your acceptance and acknowledgement. Let's build. Garnish. Now, I did have pineapple fronds. Somebody threw them out. So this drink isn't going to be as pretty as I had hoped. But it's still going to taste that good. And there it is. The Piña Colada. Down the hatch. That's good. It's nice and frothy and kind of thick. Coconut really, but that Pussers really shines through. It's delicious. I could totally see why you'd just want to sit there and drink Piña Coladas. Yeah. That is refreshing. Now, I've seen recipes where you can use passion fruit syrup, recipes that call for coconut milk along with the cream of coconut. Makes for a thicker type of drink. But I find that simple is, well, simple. Why mess with perfection? Nutmeg as a garnish would also be good because it would add something to the nose. But simple is good. This is great. Thankfully, this was not an unmitigated disaster. Cheers. Speaking of unmitigated disasters, this month marks the 100th anniversary of the tragedy at Honda Point, the worst peacetime U.S. Navy loss of ships ever. So sit back, Saturday seafarers and armchair admirals, sip that Piña Colada, and let me tell you about an entire destroyer squadron destined to be dashed upon the rocks of history and on the California coast. Honda Point is not in Japan, although Japan does play a supporting role in this tragic tale. Honda Point is not a secret amongst seamen. The Spanish named this godforsaken outcropping of rocks near Santa Barbara the Devil's Jaw. The Spanish had a certain flair when it came to naming places. In 1923, San Francisco Fleet Week wrapped up on September 7th, and the Destroyer Squadron 11 was ordered to make for San Diego the next day. The destroyers of this squadron were brand new Clemson-class destroyers, built in the waning days of World War I. Due to budget cuts and the end of the war, these destroyers were never authorized to stretch their legs until now. Fuel economy had regulated these Greyhounds to no more than 15 knots, roughly 17 miles per hour for all you non-sailing types. But this day was special. Destroyer Squadron 11, under the command of Commodore Edward Howe Watson, Well, that sounds like a Gilligan's Island character if I've ever heard one. Was ordered to make for San Diego under wartime conditions, stretching their legs at 20 knots while doing gunnery and formation drills. The ships left San Francisco at dawn. 20 knots is 23 miles per hour, which doesn't sound like much. But when your means of conveyance is a 1,300-ton destroyer and your road is literally fluid, that's pretty damn fast for the time. At that speed, it could take a ship that size almost a full mile to stop. Commodore Watson sailed out of San Francisco Bay on the USS Delphi. At their disposal was a brand new navigational aid, wherein ships could triangulate their positions by using radio frequencies transmitted from shore. But as is the case with a lot of new technologies, the older generation didn't really trust this. So they continued using the prevailing navigation system of the time, dead reckoning. Dead reckoning is a well-established navigational practice by where you compute your future position in a given time using your speed and course while taking into account wind and known currents. If you start out at point A and you're doing 20 knots at course 090, then it stands to reason that you'll be 5 nautical miles along your track in 15 minutes. There was one problem on this particular day. You see, the Great Kanto earthquake had just rocked Japan a week prior. And this wasn't some little trimmer you could mistake for a sumo wrestler walking in the next room. This was a 7.3 magnitude earthquake that altered the currents of the Pacific Ocean all the way to the west coast of North America. That's where California is. In this day and age, speed was computed by revolutions per minute on the ship's propellers, and so close to land, set and drift of the ship could be ascertained by taking bearings of known geographical points ashore. But due to the currents, the ships were being tossed about, causing their propellers to come out of the water, which allowed them to turn faster than computed. And the weather had turned to shit, making sighting land difficult. That's okay. We have radio navigation for this exact purpose. Unfortunately, the old guard, i.e. the people in charge, were having none of this newfangled horse pucky, and they refused to use this information. When radio navigation said they were too far north and perilously close to the shore to make their eastbound turn, the officers knew they knew better and assumed that the new technology was faulty, and that they, in their unimpeachable wisdom, were correct in their belief that they were safe from the devil's jaw. Probably much to the irritation of the junior sailors who had been trained in the use of said horse pucky. In the meantime, Commodore Watson had his squadron maintain a tight formation due to the foggy conditions. The captain of the lead ship, USS Delphi, a Lieutenant Commander Donald T. Hunter, said, "Damn the navigational aids, full speed ahead," and assumed he had reached the mouth of the Santa Barbara Channel. So he ordered a course change to 095. That's east, with just a pinch of south thrown in. He did this at 9 p.m. 5 minutes later, USS Delphi ran up on the jagged teeth of the Devil's Jaw. Well, Delphi's crew tried to sound the ship's siren to alert the other destroyers. But the die had been cast. The ram had touched the wall. It was too late. Destroyer Squadron 11 had been stood up in by the hubris of the captain of the lead ship. The following ships clamored to avoid their fate, some ordering all back full, and one ship even inexplicably turning further to port to avoid the pileup. Now, I'm no expert, but I did earn 2 college degrees in 1 week. And I would think, with trouble lurking to the east in the form of the unmovable mass of the North American continent, I might want to take my little ship and go to starboard, or west, as it were. One by one, every destroyer in the squadron, USS SP Lee, USS Young, USS Woodbury, USS Nicholas, USS Fuller, USS Chauncey, and USS Farragut followed USS Delphi into the den of destruction. I should mention that USS Chauncey ran aground trying to rescue sailors from USS Young. No good deed goes unpunished. In this melee, 23 sailors died, most of them aboard the USS Young, which had capsized, trapping much of her engine crew below decks. None of them were officers, it might be worth noting. Still, nobody really knew they had wrecked on the California coast until they heard the haunting sound of a train. Up to that point, everyone thought they had ran into the Channel Islands, a couple miles to the south and west. Whoopsies! After the incident, all the captains of all the wrecked destroyers, including Commodore E.H. Watson, were court-martialed. From sugar to shit. Commodore Watson was stripped of his seniority, but not of his rank, I should add. And other captains were given letters of admonishment. This means nothing. And in the end, Commodore Watson was commended for taking responsibility of his actions. Basically, here's a slap. Good job, old boy. By the way, the skipper of the USS Young was a young commander named William Calhoun, the great-grandson of President Calhoun, a crazed-looking creature who reminds me of Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Commander Calhoun went on to become an admiral during World War II and played a pivotal role in the Pacific Theater. And back to sugar from shit. Anyway, you know who I blame for this calamity? Josephus Daniels. That's who. He did away with the rum ration on U.S. Navy ships in 1914 and was a staunch supporter of prohibition. He was also a prolific racist. What a bastard. You can see the memorial to this disaster at Honda Point at what is now Vandenberg Space Force Base. Anyway, the Great Kanto earthquake occurred on September 1st, 1923, and directly contributed to the Honda Point disaster. Jimmy Buffett died on September 1st, 2023, thereby providing bookends of nautical loss to a century of time. Even in death, Jimmy provides poetry for sailors. Well, kids, there you have it. The Honda Point disaster in a cocktail shaker. The moral of this story is don't give up the rum ration. Oh, and turn to starboard when shit is hitting the fan to port. Until next time, if you like piña coladas and getting caught in the rain, give me your piña colada and I'll drink that fucker for you. It's nothing worse than a watered down beverage. Cheers, dicks. itch in my nose. Bob Saget. Heavy. What is this doing in here? What kind of whore-ass bullshit is that? Doesn't it smell like a fucking onion? My whole glass smells like an onion. I washed this thing and I'm very disappointed. What? What on God's... There. Forgot there was ice in it. Why mess with perfection? Let's see if I can get this right. Roberto Cafrizi y Ramirez de Avillaro. That's wrong. Roberto Cafrizi. Roberto Cafrizi y Ramirez de Avillano. Now I forgot what I was saying. I had the name right. Forgot what I was saying.